In Alchemy Garden, you own an alchemist shop. Your job is to forage and farm for ingredients, discover recipes for potions, and sell these among other items you find on your travels in your store. The game is available on PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, and Steam stores for about £11. When you start the game and pick a save slot, there's no opening cinematic or storyline, so you just go straight to the character creation. In fact, there doesn't really seem to be any kind of story to even explain why you're suddenly living here and running this alchemist shop. The character creator is basic, but fine. I would have appreciated more skin colour options as it was really limited. However, I was very happy with the fact that the game doesn't ask you to pick a gender. You simply choose what you want to look like. From the moment you start the gameplay loop is entirely the same. There are 3 main areas: the area your home is in, the town area, and the swamp. You check around each of these areas and forage for items, and while you're in town you check out the help board to see if anyone is requesting any items you have, and then retreat back to your home to make potions. Aside from this, you can also purchase seeds once a week from the florist, and you can buy extra tools, utility items, and chests from the blacksmith. Once you've done your foraging for the day and you go back home, you can use the alchemy bench to make potions and put these up for sale in your shop. You can put potions, ingredients, and materials for sale. If a customer comes into your store and there isn't a potion they want on the shelves, they will come to the counter and ask you if you can make it instead. So it's okay if you don't have space for all your potions, or you want to keep some ingredients on reserve in case someone asks for something specific. As for the map itself, it's quite large. The problem with this is that there isn't much going on in each area. The areas are decorated nice enough, but ingredients and materials are sporadic, and there isn't anything else to interact with or see. So you just end up sprinting around each area looking for stuff, picking up what you can, and then heading home. I found that after a few in-game days, I'd definitely become bored of this routine. Due to this, I was very grateful that an alternative to foraging is farming. Sometimes you get seeds from items you foraged, and as previously said, you can buy seeds from the florist in town as well. The farming is basic. You use a hoe to make a hole in the ground, put a seed in, and then water it. Water it every day and eventually it will grow. Bonus points, if it's raining, you don't have to water anything, and I really love that mechanic. Each time you harvest a plant that you planted, it will give you seeds back so you can keep this going. This means that once you have seeds for every kind of ingredient, you can sustain all of it from your garden. Similarly to games like Stardew Valley, Alchemy Garden has different ingredients available depending on the season, so you have to keep foraging and buying seeds each season to fill up your collection log. Each ingredient is given a trait, like healing, poisonous, aether, and this trait is actually the determining factor for what you need to make a potion. A potion will not be 1 daisy, 1 rose, and 1 hyacinth. It will be 1 healing and 2 energizing, for example. Because of this, all you actually need to find the different potions are multiple of each trait. The type of ingredients it is doesn't matter. This makes things simpler, but also makes the collection feel kind of pointless, apart from just simply filling it in and getting the achievement. At this point, you're onto potion making. Potions require 3 ingredients, and dependent on the trait of the ingredient used, you'll get different types of potions. For example, the first recipe you're given is 3 healing ingredients to make a healing pot. This is the first and only recipe you are given in the game. There doesn't seem to be any way to find hints naturally in the game for recipes, aside from just trial and error. If you make a potion that has a non-reaction, like no potion can be made using that type of recipe, then you just simply lose all of the ingredients you used and then carry on. It feels very dissatisfying when you use a rare trait like aether to try and make a potion, and then the game doesn't even give you a hint when you failed. I encountered a small bug during potion making. When I learned a new recipe, sometimes it wouldn't actually leave the screen, even after I exited the alchemy table. For some reason, the prompt only became interactable after I left the crafting area, and then I was able to close it. This was only a minor bug, but it was still bothersome. And this is just one example of oversights I saw throughout the game. Another example of this is you're in the area where your shop is. You go over a bridge to be teleported into the town. However, there's no sign of the bridge when you enter the town at all. When you walk back the same way to go home, you just walk down a basic path. Things like this, combined with the minor bugs, lead to a lack of immersion and an unpolished feel. Once you've got some stock, you're ready to open your shop. You can sell items automatically by placing them on a shop counter and dragging and dropping. If you have more than one of that item in your inventory, the game will ask you how much you wish to put available for sale. I liked this option, but there was no way to type in how much you wanted to sell. You had to press the up and down arrows. I'd have preferred just to have been able to have typed it. Also, if you put, say, 5 iron ore up for sale on the counter, and then decide actually you want to sell 10 instead, there's no way to edit the amount of stock you have already up on the shelf. Instead, you have to take the ore off the shelf entirely and then re-add it with your new amount. This was just another frustrating bit, and it made stocking up the shelves feel like a hassle. While the shop is open, you're unable to leave the building, which makes sense. However, my problem with it is that there isn't really anything to do. Most customers will simply walk in, purchase what they wish, and then leave without any interaction with you whatsoever. You don't have to ring anything up or help them make a decision, it just happens. On occasion, if a customer is looking for a potion and you don't have it on a counter, they will come up and ask you if you have one available or you can make it. However, most of the time, the reason there isn't one available on the counter is because you don't have the ingredients for it, so you just end up sending them on their way. I found that the majority of the time the shop was open, I was tabbing out and looking at something else. There's just no reason to stay engaged in the game while this is happening. Occasionally, when you sell an item that a customer has directly requested, they'll then decide that the price for the item is too high. At this point, you can try haggling with them to get the sale. Haggling consists of a small minigame where you have to click while the indicator is inside the small green bar, kind of similar to the Stardew Valley fishing. I personally have the reflex skills of an old person, so I'm not very good at these types of minigames, and I also just found it stressful and I got annoyed whenever the haggle option appeared. So for me, this just wasn't an enjoyable part of the game. The gameplay is clunky, and I found myself frustrated trying to water and plant seeds in the garden as my character kept missing and either selecting the wrong thing or wasting water by putting it on the floor rather than on the crop. I also closed the store by accident on multiple occasions because I was trying to interact with the customer to give them the requested potion, and because it was overlapping, I'd press E and it would shut the shop instead of opening the customer menu. There's no way to upgrade your energy bar in any way. You can use food and potions to get some back, but that's it. Foraging items and harvesting fully grown items only cost 1 energy each, and you use hardly any energy while you're sprinting around. The main bulk of your energy goes on crafting materials. It uses a ridiculously high amount of energy to cut down trees and mine ore, and for the amount of resources you get from them, it just isn't worth it. It's better to spend all of that energy on farming and then make money through potions, as anything you can craft can also just be bought in town for coins. In order to make this video, I played from day 1 of the game through to day 14. The game time is quite slow, but you can sleep whenever you like and it will take you through to 7 AM the next day. For me, including a small time AFK to write notes, I played the game for just over 4 hours, and by the time I got to day 14, I was ready to quit. I was no longer interested. The pros did not outweigh the cons, and there was just simply nothing keeping me engaged and wanting me to play more. There is no kind of level up or upgrade system whatsoever, apart from being able to pay 2.8k coins to make an automatic potion maker. So there's no real sense of progression apart from your coins going up and then buying cosmetics. Aside from the festivals once a month, there's nothing interesting or new going on around you that makes you want to explore. There's no relationships with characters to build, and there's seemingly no lore to really teach you about why you're there, who you know, who you don't. Do you like it here? Do people like having you here? Stories from adventurers maybe who have come in and bought your potions? There's just nothing. The world feels big and very empty, and sadly after a couple of in-game days, every aspect of the gameplay just felt like a chore. The game feels like a tech demo, something you show to investors and say, look at what I can make now, and with your money I could make so much more. Not something that you'd release and charge money for, especially out of early access. Sadly, the negatives for this game are just too many to ignore or avoid, and personally, after a couple hours, I truly felt like I was playing out of obligation, rather than getting any kind of enjoyment from it. This video is not designed to throw shade at the game developers, or to be critical for critical's sake. Game development is hard, and I would not know how to add a stickman to a game, let alone create a whole world. That being said, I am a consumer. I love video games, especially games that lend themselves to the cozy genre, and sometimes games just can't live up to what is expected of them. For this reason, I think it's only fair that I give my opinion on what I think the devs could do to turn this game from a mostly positive rated to a very positive one. In my opinion, the development team should spend some time coming up with an overarching story and narrative for the game and player, so that we get more immersed in the world and understand our place there. Each area should be more compact, so it's less of a running simulator, and so it doesn't feel like it takes forever to forage for items. Reduce the amount of energy used for chopping logs and mining, and increase the amount of energy required for foraging to even out these penalties a bit and make crafting feel like more of a viable alternative. Add some form of meaningful progression. Give the player an alchemy level, and when they level up they get hints about different potions. I like the fact that you can trial and error your way into finding all the potions, so I don't think this should be removed. I just think there should be a way to organically find the recipes rather than just heading over to the wiki. Add some little details into the game to break the days up. Give villagers birthdays, and on their birthday throw a little party in town. Have a few random days where shops have sales. Let me trade in seeds at the florist or ores at the blacksmith for rewards or discount. Make the shop interactions more interesting. Put a thought bubble over customers' heads telling me what they think of the shop. Do they like the decor? The range of products? Are they struggling to make a decision on a purchase? Let me go over and talk to them about it. Give me a few options of things I can say to try and convince them. And if I pick the right option, then they buy the product. Just something small to make it feel more interactive. Let me upgrade the shop size and hire assistants so that if I want to, I can leave the assistants run the store while I go out and explore in exchange for losing X percentage of profits for that day. These are just some things I can think of that I personally feel would make the game feel more immersive and less like a chore. And I believe that my suggestions are not too wild and would be feasible to implement in the future. Let me know what you thought of the game and of my ideas down in the comments below. I hope you've all enjoyed watching, and I look forward to seeing you at the cabin again soon.